I mean, I think he has range. There's levels to his performance, and it's not quite so one note like so many gangster performances tend to be. Hey everybody, my name is Nick, and I'm a director and editor, and today I'm going to be talking about the film The Pig, the Snake, and the Pigeon, directed by Wong Ching-po, available now to watch on Netflix. So this is a 2023 Taiwanese black comedy action thriller. The premise for this movie is that a criminal commits a very public murder of a gang boss in Taiwan, and he escapes the police in a spectacular fashion and then goes into hiding. While he's in hiding, his doctor informs him that he has stage 4 lung cancer. Because he's about to die, he decides to turn himself in at the police station. But at the police station, he notices that he is only the 3rd most wanted man in Taiwan. So he decides that he's going to kill the 2 other criminals ahead of him on the list, Hongki and Bulai, and become the most notorious criminal ever. Interesting idea, and it's made more interesting by the fact that it's based on a Chinese folktale called周处and the 3 Scourges. It's a very loose adaptation of the story of周处. So周处was a really cruel, violent man in his youth, and along with a tiger and a dragon,周处is considered one of the 3 scourges of the village. So one day, Joe is challenged by a villager to kill the tiger and the dragon. And in doing so, he reforms himself, thus eradicating the 3 scourges. You know, this is a story of self-reformation. The adaptation of this story to the gangster genre is really interesting because it kind of inverts the expectation of what the gangster genre is. You know, usually, typically, the setup that we have for a gangster film is about someone's moral degradation, kind of their descent into the mob world, becoming worse as they go on. But what we do in this film is that we are seeing a character that is bad, kind of being shown the way to redemption, kind of reforming himself. Learning and understanding about how the gang world is kind of, you know, not this great place. Kind of cool in this movie because we have a character that is clearly disturbed and violent, but he's utilizing his power in a way that eventually kind of becomes responsible, sort of, but he's also so crazy that like weird stuff happens along the way. You know, there's a lot in this film that I think it does so much better than other gangster films, and especially Taiwanese gangster films. No offense, Taiwan, I love you. But I like this quite a bit more than a lot of the gangster films that I've seen in Taiwan. You know, there's things that are not present in this movie that do not need to be present in any movie. The non-stop swearing and screaming is really toned down, and this is a feature of a lot of Taiwanese gangster films that was forgoed in this, and it was very appreciated. The performance of Ethan as Chen Guilin is really good. I mean, I think he has range. There's levels to his performance, and it's not quite so one note like so many gangster performances tend to be. The action choreography in this film is also very good. It's messy, and that's what I like about it. It goes against the trend of the overly perfect fight choreography. You know, there's a grittiness to the fighting. Mistakes are made in the fight. You know, the environment is used in a real visceral, kind of scary way. And it makes the fights feel real, and it allows for them to get pretty dang gory. Another cool thing about this film is that the goriness is really ramped up, and it allows for this film to be a little bit genre bending. It takes it from the gangster genre, the action genre, into the realm of horror a little bit. There's some pretty shocking splatter moments that add a lot of excitement to this film. Plot-wise, story-wise, even though I was able to figure out a lot of what the twists in the film were going to be, it was still enjoyable to see the characters get there. And the way that the scenes played out ended up being shocking and enjoyable and different than I expected, even though I kind of knew what the ultimate conclusion of the movie was going to be. Again, if you would like to skip ahead to avoid some spoilers, please do so. The introduction of the cult in this movie was the particularly interesting element. Seeing this character, this gangster badass character, getting taken into a cult because he wants something to believe in, because he believes it's a part of his moral redemption process and he wants to change, is really interesting. Because we know he's powerful and ruthless. And the danger is that the cult is controlling his mind, which is a fascinating antagonist to have to be up against and include in your film. It was what makes it like a really scary, almost horror-like obstacle that he needs to get over, which is something I wasn't expecting would happen in this movie. Very pleasantly surprised with this movie. I think it's one of the strongest kind of action movies to come out of Taiwan in a long time. There are some things that I thought could have been better. The police officer character I thought was underutilized. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of his character. Physically, he's a great person to include. He's very interesting with his one eye. And the fact he doesn't talk that much is okay too. I think it makes him mysterious and pretty scary. I love how he's like unlucky and always kind of one step behind. I would have just liked to have seen a little more from him. With that said, I do think that too much from him would have been bad. I like that he was limited and that the story was more focused on the same plot, which I appreciate, and something that I see kind of happen in Taiwan movies where they get sidetracked a lot. So I think the overuse of the policeman would have been a much greater sin than the underuse that we saw. But I did want a little bit more characterization from him. I wanted to maybe add in a couple scenes of him like finding the dead bodies of the gangster that Guilin leaves behind. Maybe getting a little upset that Guilin is better at catching criminals than him. Just give me a little bit of extra characterization to contrast Guilin or to show how they're the same. Maybe they're both ruthless or something. I don't know. A one-eyed policeman that's like really stoic and quiet. It's cool. I want a little more. Another thing that I didn't like too much in the film was the overt sexualization of Wong Jing, the actress. I think it was a bit too much. You know, she's an actress that has been in Taiwan cinema since she was young, so I felt a little weird about it. I mean, maybe that was what the director was going for, but I didn't really appreciate some of the sexual violence scenes against her. There's an unnecessary reveal of her body in the shower that is only done as like a male gaze thing of like, oh, look at how hot she is. Let's show off her body. We didn't need to have him pull back the shower curtain to see her naked in the shower. It would have worked a little bit better if I felt like the director and the writer thought a little bit more about the character. I think that the romantic undertones between her and Guilin could have been developed a little bit more. And then you can earn some of the sexual scenes. There's a bit of an assumption that she just falls in love with him because he saved her from the abuser. And I think that to develop this strong feeling, I needed to see a little bit more. She sees a guy who is also a psychopath, saving her from a different psychopath. So I think what would have rang a little bit more true would have been for her to continue to be afraid of him. I think that would have been a more interesting direction to go. If you see this sexual violence and then this other violent guy comes to save her, what a more interesting message would have been if she's like, yeah, you're a weirdo too, dude. I don't want anything to do with you. Thanks for saving me, but maybe leave me alone. I think that would have been an interesting message. To show that you shouldn't trust a new violent guy just because he's violent against a different violent guy. Obviously, there's many ways to skin a cat, as it were. Is that a good thing to say? Can we say that still? There's many ways to do something, but I just felt like it didn't really hit the mark on the portrayal of their relationship and the portrayal of Wong Jing's character in this film. You know, there's a reference in the film that I thought was interesting, where the mother loved Hongki because he saved her from an abuser. And now Guilin is saving her from Hongki. So I think potentially what they were trying to do was show how she's kind of repeating a mistake, but they made it out to be like, this is a good thing. Like, this is a pure love that they have for each other, which, I don't know, it just felt weird to me. In general, though, this movie surprised me a lot with how much I liked it. Definitely a worthwhile watch on Netflix. It's a fun movie night to have if you like kind of a little bit gory, a little bit action-y kind of stuff. Camera work does some interesting things. Very engaging use of drone shots. Technical proficiency seems to be pretty on point in this. Good effects for the most part. The computer-generated stuff that they included in the movie is toned down to a level that you can kind of identify it, but it's tolerable to look at. You know, it's not offensively bad like some movies when they use CGI stuff. So yeah, I quite like this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like the pig, the snake, and the pigeon? Did you hate it? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm annoying? Let me know in the comments. Try to be nice though, because you know, you might hurt my feelings. All right. See you guys next time. Remember to do the things that you're supposed to do on YouTube. Love you. Bye.